And now it's time for This Week in History. Trivia style. 7 questions, all set to medium difficulty, all with multiple choice answers. Here we go. Question number 1. July 20th, 1969. Something amazing happens. Was it the first space station was completed? The first humans walked on the moon? The first space shuttle landed? Or Apollo 11 launched on July 20th, 1969. Now, I understand there is a delay, so I will use up. How about you? Roger is going to go with the Apollo 11 launch, which makes me think that the delay isn't nearly as long as it usually is. So we got an answer in there from Roger. The Taney family likes to, I don't know how they watch, but they like to answer not individually, which sucks for my numbers. So get on your own device, Cooper. Get on your own device, Jessica, or any other Taney family member that's watching. The question again, July 20th, 1969, what historic event took place during the Apollo 11 mission? The first space station was completed, the first humans walked on the moon, the first space shuttle landed, or Apollo 11 was launched. You've been with me for like the last 2 weeks, and I think you know what the answer is because we've covered this extensively leading up to that day. I'm not giving you my answer until you give me your answer. Yes, that is correct. July 20th, also known as Moon Day, not the dropping of your drawers, but the walking on the moon is what they did. That's my answer. That's James's answer. Where is the rest of the family when we need them? But Roger went with launch. He could be right. He may be right. He may be crazy. Here we go. Question number 2. On July 21st, 1861, what major Civil War battle was fought near Manassas, Virginia? Here are your multiple choice options. Was it the Battle of Antietam, the Battle of Gettysburg, the First Battle of Bull Run, or the Battle of Shiloh? Yes, all right. Jessica walking, sorry, just getting on. All right, Jessica's there. Now my world is right. Still with the Billy Joe, dealing with 6 days of laundry this morning. Oh my goodness. James pops in with Antietam as his answer, which is a surprise that he would be wrong. I thought he was my local Civil War buff guy. I thought he would know these things. Again, what major Civil War battle was fought near Manassas, Virginia on July 21st, 1861? The Battle of Antietam, the Battle of Gettysburg, the Battle of Bull Run, the First Battle of Bull Run, or the Battle of Shiloh? James with Antietam. Roger taking his time. Jessica taking her time. Roger goes with Gettysburg. And that's okay to make that mistake because you don't live here. Those of us who live in and around the greater Gettysburg area, we know. It's that or Shiloh, but it's Gettysburg or Bull. Yeah, there you go, James. Just it's this one or this one or this one or this one. You captured all 4. Great. Jessica's going to go with Shiloh. All right, my friends. It's time for some education. You're all wrong. So wrong. No, and the reason I know this is because it's super unique in that in the First Battle of Bull Run, which takes place on July 21st, 1861, near Manassas, Virginia, the newspaper told everybody that the troops were marching from Washington. We got 35,000 troops marching on Richmond from Washington, and it took them like 10 days to get there. And the battle takes place on a field, and people picnicked They grabbed their picnic baskets and they brought their families to the battlefield to watch the first Battle of Bull Run. They picnicked battle because there was some idea that it was going to be, it was wealthy people and senators and politicians, and I don't think a lot of poor people, the poor people were fighting the war. These pompous people went to watch the war take place, watch the battle take place. But it goes horribly awry. The battle didn't go the way they were expecting the battle to go. So the Union soldiers took a whooping from a much smaller force, and then they make haste. They run away in what became known as the Great Skedaddle. And it is only because I know about the Great Skedaddle that I know the answer to this question. The answer is the first battle of Bull Run, also known as the Great Skedaddle. I saw some comments popping in there. Let's see. Gettysburg is 2 hours from Manassas. No one cares. No one cares how far Manassas is from Gettysburg. That wasn't the question. The question was, what battle took place on July 21st, 1861, near Manassas, Virginia? And now, you know the rest of the story. Roger with That's Bull. That's funny. Why not, though? You could go to the harbor and watch naval engagements. No, thank you. Cannonballs, no names. Silly. All right, here we go. July 22nd, 1933. Which aviator became the first woman to fly solo across the Atlantic Ocean? You thought you knew the answer because I said woman aviator. You're like, aha, wrong. She ain't the one, son. Here are your multiple choice options. Was it Bessie Coleman, Harriet Quimby, no relation to Mayor Quimby, Jacqueline Cochran, or Amelia Earhart? James pops in with Earhart. He thinks Amelia Earhart was the first female woman to fly solo across the Atlantic Ocean. He may be right. He may be crazy. But it just might be the answer that you're looking for. I don't know why I'm still in this Billy Joel thing. That's funny. Again, the first female aviator to cross the Atlantic solo. Was it Bessie Coleman, Harriet Quimby, Jacqueline Cochran, or Amelia Earhart? Roger's going to go with Coleman. And I do know Bessie Coleman. I know her name for a reason, but I don't know why. I know Harriet Quimby was an aviator. And I'm pretty sure Amelia Earhart wasn't the first one to do the Atlantic. Jessica's going to go with Earhart. Now I'm second guessing myself. I'm going to go with Harriet Quimby. And you guys can have Earhart and you can have Coleman. And we'll find out who's right soon enough. July 23rd, 1903. July 23rd, 1903. What automobile company sold its first car in 1903? Airplane hasn't been invented yet. It will be soon. But on which automobile company sold its first car on July 23rd, 1903? Was it the Ford Motor Company, General Motors, Buick, or Cadillac? I feel like I should just say Cadillac because I'm a proud Cadillac owner. You know, if you're going to be wrong strong. And if you're going to really be wrong, support your team. Cadillac Ferrari, that's my team now. James says Ford. I think Jessica's going to say Ford. I'm curious, do you two share your answers before you type them into the phone there? Do you share your answers? Do you yell at each other? Do you try to convince one another whether you're right or wrong? Roger goes with General Motors. Because we all immediately assume it's Ford, but it doesn't say what company made the first car. Jessica's going to go with GM. It says this company made its first car on July 23rd, 1903. And I think Ford and GM, I think we're in the ballpark. 50-50, flip my imaginary coin. I'm going with Ford. Me and James are going with Ford. Roger and Jessica going with GM. All right, now I know. I didn't know. Question number 5. On July 24th, 1911, who rediscovered the ancient city of Machu Picchu? Machu Picchu? Machu Picchu? Machu Picchu? You know the one way up there. Who discovered the ancient city of Machu Picchu for the outside world? Who rediscovered? Here are your options. Howard Carter, Hiram Bingham, Roald Amundsen, or Percy Fawcett. File this under if you know, you know. And if you don't know, you don't know. Because none of these names are familiar to me. None of these names are popular. Again, here are your options. Who rediscovered Machu Picchu? Howard Carter, Hiram Bingham, Roald Amundsen, or Percy Fawcett? James is going to go with Howard Carter. I'm going to go the opposite end of the spectrum. I'm going with Percy Fawcett. I have no idea why. I just feel like Percy's the guy who found it up in the mountains, who rediscovered it up in the mountains. It was there. He just stumbled across it somehow from way up upon high. Where is Fink when I need this? He's going native with the mountain tribe. Yeah. Jessica's going to go with Percy. So me and Jessica saying Percy. Roger's going to go with Bingham. Hiram Bingham. We will all find out together soon if we are right or wrong. July 25th, 1978. And the recent future. What event marked the birth of the world's first test tube baby? The first successful heart transplant? The birth of Louise Brown? The cloning of Dolly the sheep? Or the first IVF clinic opened? Out of those options, what? Did you change your mind? You changed your mind. Don't change your mind. Blackjack, no trade back. What event marked the birth of the world's first test tube baby on July 25th, 1978? Was it the first successful heart transplant, the birth of Louise Brown, the cloning of Dolly the sheep, or the first IVF clinic opened? I'm not a fan of test tube babies. That's the reason why we have a proliferation of twins and triplets now. You clarified. How did you clarify? You said, I think it's Bingham. Yeah, Roger's going to go with birth. And yeah, it's a bad question. Obviously, it is the birth of Louise Brown. That was the beginning of the test tube baby phase. And I'm not a fan of the babies of the tubes of testings, right? Young people, have more sex. That's all you got to do to have babies. Have more of it. And if it isn't working out, get a different partner. James went with the first clinic opened. Strange that he would choose that as his answer. Me and Roger are going with birth. Jessica says test tube. Not one of the available answers for the question. Stop multitasking. You're doing laundry and trying to answer questions, and you're getting them all convoluted. The last question. July 26th, 1990. What major piece of... I'm sorry, man. You got me cracking up. You got me doing the whole chicken and the egg thing because you think that the birth of the test tube baby required the plant to be opened first. Ah, that's funny. Yes, exactly what I was thinking, Roger. Exactly what I was thinking. The final question, question number 7, July 26, 1990. What major piece of U.S. legislation was signed into law? Was it the Civil Rights Act of 1964? Was it the American with Disabilities Act, the Voting Rights Act, or the Clean Air Act? Major piece of legislation was signed into law on July 26th, 1990. Do you know? I'm trying, I'm failing, but I'm trying. Answers, please. I do not know the answers. Why does James got a bubble over him? How did that happen? I like that. James going with Clean Air. Roger going with Clean Air. Jessica is a little behind. I am going to go with the ADA. I believe it was the ADA. That's my guess. All right, well, we're not going to wait much longer. She's doing things. She's a busy woman. Question number 1. Was the landing on the moon? And next week we'll probably have a question that says, 1 week ago, 56 years ago, this important thing happened. And Jessica's going to go with Clean Air on the last question. No, on July 20th, 1969, we landed on the moon. One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. That whole thing, right, happened. And then they named July 20th National Moon Day. If you follow along on the days of the week, you know that too. July 21st, 1861 was the first battle of Bull Run. Let's read the talking point just to see how close I was. Many spectators actually brought picnic lunches to watch, expecting a quick Union battle. Instead, they watched the first major battle of the Civil War turn into a chaotic Confederate win and a wake-up call that the war would be much longer and bloodier than anyone expected. I knew some things. Question number 3. For those of you who chose Amelia Earhart, you were correct. I was wrong. So wrong. Question number 4. For those of you that chose the General Motor Company, I need to correct this one. Son of a gun. The answer to question number 4, the automobile company sold its first car, was the Ford Motor Company. And it says, I need to correct this one, is the note that it's got written here. The question as written wasn't accurate. Ford Motor Company sold its first car on July 23rd, 1903, not Buick. What? I appreciate your patience. I'll tighten these days' checks going forward. The first customer was a Chicago dentist who paid for a Model A, $850. It corrected itself, but the answer's the same. Whatever. Because these are my United States of whatever. If you chose Bingham for the man that rediscovered Machu Picchu, you were correct. But if you hinted to the choosing of Bingham and then went with Percy Fawcett instead, you don't get points. No points for you. The person who rediscovered Machu Picchu was Hiram Bingham. Question number 6. What event marked the birth of the world's... What event marked the birth of the world's first test tube baby? The birth of Louise Brown. That's the event that marked the birth of the test tube baby. Not the opening of a clinic where they may, in the future, have test tube babies. And again, no test tube babies. Make whoopee. And the final question. July 26, 1990. What major piece of U.S. legislation was signed? It was the American with Disabilities Act. I didn't go 7 for 7, but I did pretty well. And none of you went 7 for 7, but you did okay. You tried, and that's the most important thing. New episode of the Lunsby Show should be taped soon. Maybe we'll take a day off. I don't know. My throat is really sore from all the cheering I was doing at the Harrisburg Comedy Zone over the last 2 nights, over the last 2 weeks, over the last 4 nights, over the last 2 weeks. And I'm looking forward to, you were singing Liam Lynch, looking forward to doing it again. So with that being said, I remind you today, as I remind you every day, just be the best person that you can be. And if you were a great person today, be an even better person tomorrow. Chick Bruce sends her love. See you next Sunday, if not sooner. Lunsby! And just here,